Good afternoon, everyone. Hi, if we could all take our seats. Welcome back to a very special Lunch and Learn. Special because the 6th Wall Street Collectors Bourse is happening just 2 floors above on the main exhibit floor. The organizer and founder of the museum and chairman of the board emeritus is John Herzog, and so we always want to recognize John today. Other friends in the house are David Deutsch, who is our former vice chair of the board, and Rand Chalet of the AHA Society. Now, turning our attention to today, Alexander Hamilton, when he was Secretary of the Treasury, had 5 monumental state papers. 2 were on public credit, 1 was the report on a mint, 1 was the report on the National Bank, and the last one, and probably his least studied, was the report on manufacturing. And we are fortunate that today we have an expert not only on Hamilton, but on that report in Leonard Zax. And he has a lot of vision on Paterson and the report on manufacturing and what it all means to us. He is a lawyer by trade, a city planner, and the president of the Hamilton Partnership for Paterson. And importantly, he is the driving force behind the creation of a national park that now exists in Paterson, New Jersey. We'll hear more about that today. It's my pleasure to introduce Leonard Zax.
Thank you, David. It's always great to be here. And I really want to thank you, and I want to thank John Herzog for inviting me. John said, would you come and give this talk? And of course, actually I hope to do everything that John asked me to do. But I'm particularly happy to do it here in the room where it happened. Dick Silla, the museum's chairman, was very helpful to us in creating this National Historical Park. I'm sorry he's not here today. And I also want to recognize Darren Bach, the superintendent of the Paterson Great Falls National Historical Park, and you'll hear briefly from him later on. I want to thank our friends and partners at AHA, and so many old friends, including the one who introduced me to my wife, who are here with us in the audience today. Now, everyone knows, certainly everyone here knows, that Ron Chernow's biography of Alexander Hamilton inspired a spectacular hit musical. It's about 2 New York politicians fighting in a nasty, mudslinging political campaign. That's the way that things were in the barbaric early years of the nation. But I'm here today to tell you that Ron Chernow's book also inspired a new national historical park in the city that Hamilton founded, Paterson, New Jersey. Now, why is there a new national park in Paterson, of all places? The answer goes back to a less dramatic moment in Hamilton's life, a quiet picnic with General George Washington next to a waterfall during the Revolutionary War, right after the Battle of Monmouth. They lunched beside the Great Falls of the Passaic River. It stretches 300 feet wide, towers almost 80 feet high, and pours as much as 2 billion gallons of water into a deep canyon every day. It was then the most powerful waterfall in the United States. You all know that the British were still claiming the lands around Fort Niagara. A decade later, President Washington appointed Alexander Hamilton our first Treasury Secretary. And Hamilton went to work building the new nation's economy. And something really worried him. Hamilton believed that America would never be truly independent unless it made the things America needed here. 15 years after the Declaration of Independence, and long after the British surrendered, America remained woefully dependent upon England and Europe for all manufactured goods, even military supplies. Hamilton argued that America could never truly be free from foreign dominance without economic independence. It was a radical view then. Jefferson deplored it, and many others criticized it for a variety of different reasons. Some because they didn't like cities and they just were comfortable with the plantation life of a rural agrarian society, and others because they thought, as Benjamin Franklin did, that we wouldn't have manufacturing in this country for well nigh, he said, 1,000 years. And as America's first Secretary of the Treasury, Hamilton created an ambitious strategy to achieve economic independence, starting with a report on manufacturers, a comprehensive tariff and manufacturing strategy to begin making all essential goods on American soil. Hamilton was a busy guy then. Even when the entire cabinet left Philadelphia to be with their families during the steamy summer of 1791, Hamilton sent his family to upstate New York without him, and he remained in Philadelphia working on matters of large public moment. First, writing the report on manufacturers. Second, creating America's first industrial city. And third, beginning an affair with a married woman that would become America's first big political scandal. Shocking how tawdry politics were in the early republic. Hamilton presented his report to the Congress on manufacturers in December of 1791. And that's what it looks like. Gilder Lehrman has a copy in New York. The New York Historical Society has a copy. I recently took some Paterson kids, high school kids who were working in a youth corps funded by the Park Service, to the Library of Congress to see a copy there, to hold it, to touch it, be photographed with it. And there's a lot of myth surrounding the report on manufacturers. As David Cowan pointed out, it's the least studied, and that's true. But those people who did study it, or who thought they studied it, created what for a long time was a myth, namely that Hamilton's tariff and manufacturing plan failed to pass Congress. Now, the fact is that Hamilton worked tirelessly to make sure that Congress passed virtually every single one of his tariff proposals in the report within 5 months of sending it to the Congress. Now, for 2 centuries, the best historians, Elkins, McKittrick, Taussig, and Hamilton biographers, Broadus Mitchell, Rick Brookhiser, and others, missed it. They all wrote that Hamilton failed to get it through the Congress. It was really as though they were just Googling, Report on Manufacturers Act, and it came up no results. But really they had to Google an act to protect the Western territories. It was the first time a savvy politician tacked a favorite caboose onto the gravy train of a military spending bill, zooming through the Congress. Oh, and it would not be the last time, I might add.